Namaste, Hamisha खुश रहो बिटिया. My name is JV'n Manisha Singh. Today I am teaching you difference test, which is a part of sensory evaluation. Then discrimination and difference test are as follows. Effective methods require a much larger panel size than do analytical methods in order to have greater confidence about the interpretation of the results. The most common analytical methods of sensory evaluation used in the wine industry are discrimination and descriptive methods. Discrimination tests can be used to determine if products are different, if a given wine characteristics is different among the samples, or if one product has more of a selected characteristics than the another. Experienced panelists can complete discrimination tests. Descriptive methods are used to provide more comprehensive profiles of a product by asking panelists to identify the different characteristics within the product and the quantify characteristics. Trained panelists must be used for descriptive methods. Then different testing is used to determine if different winemaking processing techniques or operations have a sensory impact. As such, different testing methods generally provide the winemaker with the practical information needed. They are the most feasible for use in winery environment and are simple and robust. There are many other sensory methods available, including consumer preference and acceptance tests and descriptive analysis. However, performing some of these more elaborate tests may not be feasible in small to medium-sized wineries. They are available through sensory service companies. Difference testing is a way to determine if a sensory test actually exists between the samples. The degree or nature of the difference cannot be quantified. However, descriptive tests are generally needed to truly define differences. There are 4 types of different tests which can be used to answer some practical questions. The most common for use in the wine industry are the triangle difference test and the duo trio difference test. In triangle test is a particular lot made with a rot compromised fruit different from other lots. Then duo trio test, there is a question behind the duo trio test is there a difference sensory difference among wines fermented with different tastes? And for paired comparison, does the high VA in this wine impact it sensorially? Then sensory difference and the preference test. First of all, triangle test. Minimum testers required are 5. Uses multi-purpose. 3 coded test samples are used. 2 are the same wine A but are coded differently. 1 is the different wine. Basic method is tasters assess all 3 samples when pick the sample which is different from the other 2 or the odd one out. Serving orders are, these are the codes of the serving order. Then results, correct responses, taster picks the odd one out. Okay, then duo trio test. Minimum tasters require 7, uses comparison to a reference wine. Then there is a 1 reference samples and 2 coded test samples. A is the same wine as the reference and B is the wine to test. Tasters assess the reference, then the 2 test samples. Tasters are asked to indicate which test sample is the same as this reference. Then there is a serving orders, reference AB and reference BA. Okay, then correct response, taster picks A as the same as the reference. And then paired comparison test. Minimum testers required 7 when a difference is known. Then 2 coded test samples are A and B. 1 is known to be chemically higher in an attribute. Examples is sweetness. Tasters are asked to identify which sample is higher in an attribute. Example, identify which sample is sweeter than the other, and serving orders is AB and BA. Then correct responses are tasters pick the sample that is a higher presumed sweeter sample. Then same or different test, that is minimum tasters are required 7, uses when a difference is unknown, 2 code test samples. 2 coded test samples are A and B. Tasters assess both samples and indicate whether they think samples are the same or different. Serving orders are AB, AA, BA and BB. No two serving orders are presented to each testers. Then results are the wine significantly different is correct response. Taster correctly picks the two samples as being the same or different depending on the serving order. Then paired preference. Minimum tasters are 7. Which wine is preferred? Then samples is 2 coded tests A and B samples. Then tasters assess both samples and indicate which one they prefer. A choice must be made. The taster can't say they prefer neither. Serving orders A and AB and B. Count the number of people who prefer one wine over the another. Then difference test depends on many factors. Selection of the appropriate different test depends on the many factors including the following objectives, number of available tester and volume of wine available. Now triangle test. This method requires the panelists to make a choice among the samples. The panelists have a 33% chance of simply guessing correctly. This test method has good application in determining if each process change affects the overall product character. Fatigue is a factor as panelists usually must retest several times. Adaptation may also occur as a result of retasting, and it is recommended that no more than 2 sets, 6 samples be evaluated at one testing session. Then triangle test, name, date and product. This is the performer of the triangle test. And there is an instruction it should be written that 2 of the samples are identical, determine the odd one out. Then duo trio test. Duo trio tests are sometimes used instead of triangle tests to compare unknown differences between the wines. Tasters are presented with a reference wine and then 2 test wines. One wine is the same as the reference and other is the wine to be tested. Evaluators are asked to identify the samples that is the same as the reference wine. This test might be preferred as the evaluator has a reference wine to the compare. Generally, people find it easier to evaluate with a reference standard. It can also be better for assessing red wines by palate as there is less palatable fatigue. One disadvantage of this test is versus a triangle difference is that more testers are required. Then this is a performer of duo trio test. Then paired comparison test. Paired comparison tests can be used when there is known difference in chemical composition of the wines, a simple difference test which requires a sensory assessment. For example, a higher VA is present, but does the wine has a spoilage character? Is the wine more volatile? They can also be used to see if there is a directional difference for a single characteristics. This test can be useful when assessing alternative wine blends. The test requires the same amount of wine and tasters as the duo trio test. Products are compared such that each sample is placed in the first tasting position and equal number of times. This test causes less fatigue and frequently used for strongly flavored or complex products, whereas the triangle test provides only a 33% chance of guessing correctly. There is a 50% chance with the paired comparison test. Therefore, more panelists are recommended to complete this test. This is the paired comparison test performer in which instructions are written over the performer. Then same different tests. Same different test is similar to the paired comparison test. However, it is used when the difference between the two wines is unknown. Evaluators are asked to identify whether they think the two samples presented over there same or different. These tests are easy to set up, but more panel members are required and evaluators must perform the test at least twice, receiving a different randomized serving order each time. This is the performer for the same different test. Then hope you are satisfied with this session. This session is powered by digital version 2.0 Jayoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. If you have any query, please mention it in a comment box. I will resolve them whenever we have a live session. Thank you so much for watching this.